in one corner, weighing in on the wonderful absurdity of masked wrestling superhero spies and over-the-top campy tropes. Hailing originally from Southern California and now dwelling in Nashville, Tennessee, wearing an orange mask with a graying skunk-striped beard, Luchador Gringo! And in the other corner, weighing in on wrestling werewolves, violent vampires, and karate-chopping killer robots, from St. Paul, Minnesota, wearing a white mask and black hat with a pearly beard of ivory, El Mayo! Get ready for Luchador Gringo and El Mayo, a Lucha Libre Cinema podcast.
Hola, Michael. ¿Qué pasa?
¿Qué pasa? ¿Cómo está?
Muy bien. ¿Y tú?
Así, así.
And again, that's the extent of our Spanish. Back in the day, this is about when I'd be ordering más cerveza, por favor, and then again, that's it.
Yep.
All right, so we took a week off, a little extended, because this is the first time we're doing a double feature.
Double feature.
Covering two movies.
Yes.
And
we should have made it a triple feature.
Yeah, well, I think there are four of them actually in the series.
Wow. Well, yeah, I don't know, maybe more than that, but like these first three, totally a trilogy. Like,
yeah,
it's
a trilogy to rival the trilogy.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe it's too soon to bring this up, but like, I didn't know, like, you know, we can talk about like the order in which we watched them and stuff, but you know, after kind of having the bar kind of set by Santo and the Blue Demon, you know, I was watching the first one of these that we watched, and I was like, okay, they're talking about all this stuff that happened earlier, and for all I know, there was no movie that they're referring to, like, you know, because first Santo and Blue Demon movie we watched, you know, they're talking about things that, you know, happened in an earlier adventure that was not part of any movie. Not so much in this case. Like, they're referring back to previous movies.
Yeah, because here's the confusion. We did a couple of the Neutrón movies.
Yes,
and we based it on the DVD that I had that we were getting them off of, and the DVD is titled Neutrón versus the Amazing Dr. Caronte, and it's an English title, not the original Spanish title, because this is the first movies we did that were dubbed in English and not subtitled.
Okay, yeah. I guess I hadn't even really noticed that, but yeah.
And so the cover of the DVD, it's all Neutrón versus the Amazing Dr. Caronte, and it says double feature, and then it says plus Dr. Caronte 2 Death Robots.
Okay. I see why that would be confusing.
Yeah, so apparently it's okay. Now, Dr. Caronte 2 Death Robots is the second film in the series, but we had no idea there was a first film in this series.
Yeah, and the one that is actually titled Neutrón versus Dr. Caronte would be like
the
part
third.
3. Yeah.
So Michael and I, we watched the Dr. Caronte movie, and figuring that the next one would be the sequel or just another adventure altogether.
Right, sure.
And that turned out not to be the case, because right away I was like, oh, Dr. Caronte lives.
He's pretty
so
tricky.
Which one are we going to cover first? Are we going to cover the one we saw first and then cover the one we saw second, or do we want to go in order that story goes?
I feel like we should go in the order the story goes.
Okay, go for it. You explain.
That would be so easy. So the second movie in the series, in the trilogy, is Los Autómatas de la Muerte. So basically, Neutrón versus the Death Robots, or Robots of Death, or however you choose to pronounce that or translate it, I guess. And even so, like in this movie, they're they're referring back to things that happened in the earliest movie. So I can kind of sum that up briefly. It sounds
which I believe is Neutron El Enmascarado Negro, Neutron, the man in the black mask.
Sure. Okay. That tracks. And all I really know is like everybody's after this neutron bomb, which doesn't.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that everybody's after this other bombshell.
Oh, talk about what's her name?
The weirdest. No, it's not a love triangle. It's a
love square.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nora is the character's name.
Yeah. But go ahead.
Yeah. So, but yeah, there's this super weapon. There's a neutron bomb, which is a little confusing because Neutron is also the name of the hero character. But Dr. Carante is after this neutron bomb and was apparently destroyed by it at the end of the first film. Because when the second movie opens, everyone's talking about how he's dead. We saw him die, but then he makes a reappearance, and also introduces these. I don't know if they're in the first movie or not, but these death robots, which are these weird, kind of faceless, shaggy, like almost Wolfman-like, but like with these really featureless faces,
but quite zombie-like.
Yeah, the way they kind of move, it did definitely remind me of the zombies from the other movie that we watched. So, yeah,
I think they've all had zombies.
Yeah, my notes are not extensive enough to like walk us through this whole film, but I'm hoping you can do that. But that kind of sets us up anyway.
So what we gather is apparently these three gentlemen. Now in the movie, in the English version, their names are different than in the Spanish version. So in the English version, since that's what, the subtitled one we saw, it's, I believe, James, Mark, and Charles, yes.
Yeah.
So there are these three buddies.
Yeah.
Three amigos, three musketeers.
Yeah, they call them musketeers in the English dub.
They hang out all together. Mark works for a TV station.
Mm-hmm.
We're not sure. Oh, the other one I think is a biologist.
Yeah, James is a biologist.
And Charles, what does Charles do?
He is independently wealthy. He inherited a bunch of money from his parents.
All right. Sort of the Bruce Wayne thing going.
Yes.
And they are all into Nora.
Right.
And she's just leading them on.
Yeah, she's a nightclub singer. They all like kind of go and catch her act, and then she'll come and sit down with them afterwards, and they'll all kind of pester her to pick one, and she refuses to pick one because she likes them all on some level and doesn't want to hurt their feelings, doesn't want to like break up the group by choosing one of them. And this
goes on through both movies.
Yeah. So, and by the end of the first movie that we watched, by the end of the second movie in the series, she has not made any decisions. And then at the beginning of the third movie, they kind of force a decision out of her. They're like, look, this is tearing us apart. Like we're not getting along. We need to rip the Band-Aid off, and you got to pick somebody.
But they still look like they're best of chumps. But
yeah,
Charles apparently lives with a scientist.
I think that's James.
Or James. James?
Yeah, because James is the biologist.
Okay. I mean, they're all three very handsome Latino men, so I couldn't tell them apart on the very questionable print that we had.
Yeah. Charles is the wealthy guy, but James is a biologist who's also fairly well off. I mean, that house is nice.
Yeah. Okay.
And he also somehow like supports this other dude, this other scientist who is developing the neutron bomb, right? If I got that right.
Right. And apparently in the first movie, I'm guessing the one we didn't see, there were these three other scientists that were building a special formula to make the neutron bomb work.
Right.
And they have had since passed, but Dr. Carante has gotten their brains.
Yes.
And through all his special lab in science has combined the brains, but he needs fresh blood to keep them alive.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Are you going to explain Nick at this point?
Oh my gosh, I can't even get to Nick yet. But because Dr. Carante needs some kind of picture painting as well, because he is a masked figure. He looks like a masked wrestler with a kind of doctor theme. Like he's all in white, which is kind of interesting because Neutron, our hero, is going to be all in black.
Ooh, yeah, twist there.
Yeah, but Dr. Carante is, he's like this white, just not a lot of adornment on his mask. It's just like this white Lucha Libre mask with like a doctor's kind of coat, like and
kind of a smock type thing.
Yeah, right. And he's a scientist, but he also believes in alchemy, and in one of the movies he talks about, like telepathy and like these other areas of, super science that have been kind of laughed at or ignored by the rest of the scientific community. So he uses all of this stuff in his work. And so, like you said, he has like the brains of these 3 dead scientists who passed away in the first movie, and he is enslaving them to his will so that they will communicate with him and reveal to him the secrets of creating the neutron bomb.
Yeah, because they each had a formula, and together their 3 formulas form a super formula that will, help with the construction of the neutron bomb.
Right.
Now, out of all the luchador movies we've seen with bad guys, mad scientists, evil geniuses, and et cetera, Dr. Carante has the best lair.
He's got a great lair. It
is awesome on the inside, because all the other ones were like just caves for the most part, except even the one where the castle or Santos and Blue Demon versus the monsters.
Mm-hmm.
It was a big castle, but apparently he kept everything underground.
Yeah,
but this one is stacked with stairs and great.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like something out of the classic Universal monster movies.
Yeah, for sure. I was picking up definitely like a 40s superhero serial vibe combined with like 40s Universal monster movies. Like that was the
bring up the serial vibe. The way it was edited, it looked like you could chop up into 3 equal parts.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
With a cliffhanger, fade to black, and then pop up. So it looked like it could very well have played as like a 30-minute, serial before another feature. But I don't think they were done that way. They may have been shown on television that way.
Maybe. Yeah, some of the editing was quite choppy, which became endearing as it went on, because like you would cut from one scene to another scene that looked like it was like the middle of the scene. Like there was one where someone is exposing Dr. Carante's. This is the second movie we watched, but someone's exposing Dr. Carante's identity to the rest of the cast, and we basically come in on the middle of it. Like it was like one scene, and then bam, cut to the scene, and he's like pointing and saying he's so and so, and like no build up, no nothing. So
yeah, there was a lot of because they always say come in late, leave early.
Yeah.
Scenes. And they play that to a key.
Yeah. And not the first Lucha Libre movie we've watched like that either.
Yeah. So Dr. Carante, let's talk about his sidekick, Nick.
No, man. Yeah. He puts that other guy to shame.
Yeah. Waldo.
Yeah.
The little person sidekick from Santos and Blue Demon versus the monster.
Mm-hmm.
Nick is something else. He's I don't know. He's quite. I love how Dr. Carante and Nick hold hands throughout almost the entire movie.
I think what makes it for me is just their relationship. Like, I don't think he's necessarily, I don't think there's a difference in the acting style. I don't think there's a difference in physical appearance. I think the difference for me is just like their relationship. They walk everywhere holding hands. There's one scene, and these movies kind of run together in my mind, so I'm sorry if I kind of am pulling parts from various movies, but there's one scene where Dr. Carante is explaining like his plan or whatever to Nick, and Nick is just like, he's just like putting his head on the table and just like listening like it's story time or something, just very kind of lovingly. And it's just, there's something, I don't know, you could read it a bunch of different ways. You could read it as a parent-child. You could read it as a master-pet. You could read it as lovers. Like, there are just multiple ways that you can read this relationship. All of them really interesting to me.
No, and it was like in the previous, when we mentioned this other little person sidekick, Waldo had his own definite reasons for being the sidekick or being the minion, and it's to further his own cause in a way. And and I'm giving way too much depth for that movie for that. but
he did. He had his own plans.
But in this one, it's just the sidekick very much cares for Dr. Carante, not the way Waldo was like a lieutenant who just barked orders because he was his master,
right
is his commander. That was an interesting aspect, but yet it checked off one of the bingo card points of a luchador movie with little person sidekick.
Right.
And again, we've already said we could check off zombies. And we can check off musical numbers.
Yes. Totally a thing.
And also in the Death Robots, the second movie, the first one we saw, but the second movie of the series, it had a robot who changed his appearance to look like Neutron.
Yeah, that was quite unbelievable because.
And then in the third movie, the amazing Dr. Carante uses Merlin magic.
Oh my gosh!
To transfer his soul.
Oh my gosh!
Into another body, and thus creating a different, a duplicate or a different.
So many twists and turns in that third movie, man.
I think at this point we're just going to talk about both movies together.
Yeah, they do kind of run together in my head a little bit.
They really need. It's got that. What's another movie that ran back to back that just kind of meld into one movie?
I don't know. None of them like that. Well, I mean, like the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Back to the Future and Back to the Future 2.
Yeah. I mean, I guess since we watched the second and third, it'd be more like Back to the Future 2 and 3.
Yeah.
But I almost feel like those are not as connected as these two movies are. Like, it's almost like, back to the serial comparison, it's almost like, just a serialized story that just happens to be broken into three chunks.
Yeah, this could have been very well been like, they say they're an hour and 20 minutes long each. I think they were actually a little bit shorter than that, but it could very well be a 4-hour movie with all three together. Or at least assuming that we haven't seen the first one yet. But yeah, so let's talk about the luchador part, which was the only luchador part there is they look like luchadors.
Yeah, there's no actual like wrestling ring. They do plenty of wrestling. They do plenty of like, action and fights and stuff, but there's no
great fights.
Like,
and
everybody get in the ring and do some.
And there was kind of one scene in the third movie, I guess, where they're at the gym just to show them working out as wrestling types. But they at no point do they talk about a wrestling career. Do we see them in any sort of ring? There's luchador mentioned, and they just happen. Neutron is a superhero that just happens to walk around without a shirt on, wears a mask, and wears tights.
Yeah. And you mentioned that scene at the gym, which I think is really important because like one of the cool things about the series Now, my understanding is at the end of the first movie, Neutron unmasks to his friends at the end. And the second movie completely ignores that because nobody knows who Neutron is. And it kind of carries into the third movie, and so there's this big mystery. Like you kind of get the feeling it's one of these three guys. It's either Charles or James or Mark, but you're not really sure which one it is. But at the gym, they all work out at the same gym. They all have the same trainer that's showing them these kind of wrestling kind of moves. So it could be any of them. And
the fact that James though lives with the scientist who often needs to be rescued at that house.
Yes,
you kind of instantly think it's James,
and he's never around, and they're kind of careful with that. Like none of the guys are ever around, but I was really leaning heavily into the James's Neutron theory.
And like in Death Robots, this movie number 2, the scientist pretty much calls James out on, I think you're him. He's like, no, I'm not him. Don't worry. I'm apparently just a drunk.
Because in the last movie, he, like I said, at the beginning of it, they kind of give Nora this ultimatum, and she picks Charles because obviously he's the rich guy. But she doesn't say that. But that's my.
Oh, does she pick Charles?
She does. She picks Charles.
Okay. No. Okay. So which one's Neutron?
Okay, but at the very end, the Neutron is revealed to be Charles.
Okay, it is Charles.
Yeah.
Okay, and Charles lives with the scientist?
No, that's James.
That's James.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And James and who and let's tell everybody who James is.
So James is a biologist.
Yes.
You're talking about who he really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. James is I can't remember his name. Dr. Carante.
Yes. James is Dr. Carante and Charles is Neutron, and these guys are best friends, but yet they're bitter foes.
Yeah, yeah. It is so great the way that it's revealed because there's in the third movie, there's this other kind of kingpin kind of character. He gave me we get the idea that he's working for the Russians. Yeah, he's some kind of foreign agent for sure. Yeah. And he gave me a very Sidney Greenstreet as Casper Gutman from the Maltese Falcon vibe. Yeah, I could pick that up too. Yeah, really refined. Loves to listen to classical music, and but anyway, he outs Dr. Carante to everybody, and so he reveals that he's James, and so then James pulls a gun on the scientist who developed the neutron bomb, pulls him into another room, and then you hear a shot, and everybody rushes in, and it looks like James has killed himself, and he's laying there dead, and the scientist is just kind of standing over him, and like, he just killed himself, I don't know, Right. And so the movie kind of continues, and yada yada yada, and then suddenly Dr. Carante appears again in his full costume and his outfit, he's masked and everything, and everyone's like, wait a minute, we saw you die. We know you're James, and we know James is dead. So it turns out that Dr. Carante, so James is able to put his spirit in, like, switch spirits with the scientist, and then he murdered the scientist in James's body. So for like the last part of the movie, it's been James running around in the scientist's body pretending to be Dr. Carante. And then Neutron shows up, and he's unmasked in the fight and revealed to be Mark.
The TV guy.
But then Charles shows up, and it was all a ploy. Like, Mark was pretending to be Neutron to fight Carante to kind of distract him so that Charles could come in and save the day or whatever. Like, I forget the details, but it was just like madness. It was just reveal after reveal after reveal after reveal. And just when you think like, who's who, like, somebody rips off another mask, like, no, it's really me. And it was just wild. It was crazy.
Yeah. Let's talk about the fight scenes. We mentioned that there's no wrestling, but these movies perhaps have had the best choreographed fight scenes we've seen so far.
Yeah. Oh, and that trainer is like, he's teaching him like the Captain Kirk, like, double foot kick, and
yeah. He's teaching all these
little
Kirk
great
Fu
moves. Yeah, Kirk Fu. Absolutely. Yeah.
And
Really
I
fun
loved how,
fights.
and I loved the first time we see Neutron in action, a bunch of thugs have busted into the scientist Mark's computer lab. And the way he just beats them up, and I like the one thing where he, one tries to run out the door, so he just slams the door on the guy when he's in the doorway, and just uses it to bat his head, and and just the way they run up and flip, and and especially in the one where he's fighting the robots, where he just runs up and just completely just piggybacks one zombie and just starts beating on him. I mean, I think these have been the best fights I've seen so far.
They're really cool.
And they had a very superhero feel. This whole series had a very, like we talked about the serialness of it, had a very superhero feel to it, perhaps more than the other luchador films we've seen so far. Because again, there's no wrestling. These guys are just superheroes and supervillains.
Right. And I just gotta say too, like Neutron has the coolest costume out of anybody we've seen so far. Like first of all, he's shirtless, which is pretty cool. But he's got like this great black mask with like these silver lightning strikes on it, and he's got this cool tassel that like comes out of the top of his head, and and these great black trousers or tights or whatever that he's wearing, and black gloves, even though he's shirtless. He just looks great.
Yeah, and Dr. Carante has a very kind of looks like the luchador Dr. Assassin. And again, in that, almost Scrubs type, tight fitting white smock thing, and, the regular white long pants and his all white mask. He really does come off as a fearsome looking villain.
Yeah, I don't know how fearsome looking I think he is, but he is very competent, and you never know what he's going to do, because it's either going to be something super sciencey or it's going to be something magic, or or a combination thereof. He's just got a billion tricks that he can pull out of his pocket at any time, and you don't really know everything he's capable of, and that's what I love most about him.
Now so it turns out that Dr. Carante is James again, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I love how in the end of the second movie, where his whole castle, his lair, falls on top of him. But yet James is sitting in the living room with them in the next scene.
I'm not sure how much this actually tracks if you go back and watch it from the beginning. It would be really interesting to do that, and I want to.
But he's sitting with his three buddies again as if nothing happened. No cuts. We think he's dead.
Yeah.
Him and Nick, because they're like clutching each other, weren't they? When the castle falling down on them,
right?
The lair. And was it the same lair in the third movie?
I don't remember.
I mean, it couldn't have been, but
yeah.
Because I think he had that floor that opened up to reveal all the zombies.
Yep.
In both movies.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the guy survived the neutron explosion at the end of the first movie, so.
And I do love how Dr. Carante has those easy bake ovens to make his zombie robots, faceless zombie robots, and that they don't all work. Some,
Yeah, I love that scene. She's like, "Oh crap, this one didn't do too well."
This one didn't rise.
Yeah.
So again, we watched them out of order unknowingly, and we were very confused after seeing the third one first. So then we watched the second one, and I don't know how much more it really cleared it up for me.
Well, I did watch the third one again after. So I watched the third one, and then we watched the second one, and it's like, okay, I'm going to watch the third one again. And I wanted to anyway, just because, just the way our schedule worked out. It had been a little while since I watched it the first time. So, so I wasn't as confused just by that. There was plenty of other confusing things, but all in a really fun way. I
watched the third one like 3 times and then watched the second one. So, but I do love in that when, Mark, the TV guy, they have a news station where Mark just jumps on and says, Neutron is fighting Dr. Carante, or Dr. Carante has put this, says he's going to blow up everybody. He breaks the news. He breaks in with these, special bulletins, and then goes, and now to your favorite sports guy. Yeah. The sports guy goes, well, how about now the box is over, let's talk about baseball,
You know who we got to talk about? We haven't talked about yet is the inspector. And
Inspector,
his men.
yes, who in the second movie thinks you distrust Neutron, thinking he's the villain.
Yeah, and the little summary I read of the first movie is it's a little bit of a kind of Batman Year One kind of a thing where you got this new superhero on the scene, and the cops don't really know how much they trust him, how much, how do they feel about vigilantes in general. Like there's some of this kind of tension going on, and so that carries on into the second and third movies where like the inspector is trying to catch Dr. Carante, but he's also trying to figure out who Neutron is, and
Right.
And he's super suspicious. He's very suspicious of James. There's like Dr. Carante comes in and tries to steal the formula from the scientist who's created it, and the inspector shows up to kind of investigate, and he's way more curious about why James slept through the whole thing than he is about actually investigating the crime that was committed. And then he's got this lieutenant. I don't know who what the guy's name was, but there's this kind of wisecracking.
Yeah, the comic relief of the movie.
Yeah, and he's horrible. He's like not funny at all. I mean, horrible. He's so horrible that he's funny again. He's just not funny in the way he intends to be funny.
Well, like standing over a dead body. Do we let him sleep it off here, boss, or we take him in?
Yeah. Just supposed to be wisecracking, and it's just the worst. Like, I don't know. He doesn't know how to read a room. I don't know. He was hilariously bad.
And I like how when they capture one of the thugs and they bring him in for questioning and stuff, rather than put him in cuffs or anything like that, they just grab his ear and pull him around.
Of course.
Like he's a kid who's in trouble or something. But no, we've definitely got to check out the other one, Neutron and the Man in the Black Mask, and then there are two others afterwards.
Yeah.
Neutron versus the Maniac and Neutron versus the Karate Killers. So we'll have to track those down because I mean these Neutron flicks, I think they could have been something better. You could see how the Santos movies borrowed from these movies in a way to make Santos the superhero that he became. But things clicked better for Santos, and he's the one hit. Those are the movies that took off, and that's the real. Those turned out to be the defining luchador superhero movies, as opposed to the Neutron movies, and Neutron being played by Wolf Ravinskis, who sounds like I don't know where he was from, but he's a naturalized Mexican actor.
I wonder if it has something to. This would be really interesting. And I'm starting to get like pulled into this world enough. Like I kind of want to like learn more about the behind the scenes of some of these guys. But like, I mean, Santo was an actual wrestler. You could like go to a match and see him, and that had to have like affected his popularity. Whereas Neutron is like Batman. He's just
just a character,
right?
And okay, he was born to a Latvian mother and a Ukrainian father of Jewish background, and they relocated in Argentina in 1923.
Oh, this is Wolf Ravinsky you're talking about? Okay.
Yes. He was born on Halloween.
Huh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And his name was Wolf.
Yeah, and I guess he had a kind of a professional wrestling career, but that he was actually known more of it as an actor, and I guess later in life he became quite the restaurateur. And had several or a couple Argentinian restaurants in Mexico City.
Okay.
So, but I guess he was a bad guy. He was a villain. He was a rudo, a heel in wrestling.
Okay, interesting.
But yeah, and he as an actor, he appears in a couple other. He appears in plenty of other luchador movies, and we'll see him again in some Santo movies as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. Like apparently in Santo versus the Martian Invasion, he plays Argos. So we'll have to get that one out. All right. Was there anything else to cover about these two movies, you think?
I don't know. I I really like them, Dan. These are like my favorites that we've watched so far, and I really like. I want, as far as I know, they're not super available. Like you can't go buy a box set of like the Neutron DVDs or Blu-rays. I wish that you could, but I got to figure out how to like get my hands on.
Well, you can. I know you can get a DVD of the two that we watched.
Okay.
I got it off eBay.
Okay.
And you can actually watch both of these movies on the Luchador Gringo YouTube channel. So if any of these movies sound interesting to you, again, watch Death Robots first, and Amazing Dr. Carante second. And we're definitely going to try to track down those other ones because apparently they were released and they were also dubbed in English.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to see that. I'd like to, I got to have closure on, seeing all of these.
And I would watch these again and again. I think I think about them the same way I think about like the old Batman serials, which I'll pop in every year or two and just watch it beginning to end. And I could see myself doing that with these. Like I just had a really good time with them.
All right, so what? Let's get to the ratings with the gold mask.
Yeah.
What are you going to give the Automatas de la Mutra?
I'm going to give it 3 masks just because it's the middle in the series. So there's not really a beginning. There's not really an end. It's just kind of, it's really fun, but it's the middle movie. So I don't want to rate it too highly.
All right. I'm going to give it 2 masks.
Okay.
It didn't click with me as much as the other one did. Maybe because I didn't see it first and I saw the other one first, but, this one was pretty much standard luchador fare for me, with the zombies and with the music. They threw in that extra musical act of the 3 mariachis and stuff like that.
Right.
And it was very much had a, I don't know, like like you said, a middle of the 3 movies. There was no Empire Strikes Back though.
No.
How about Neutron versus the Amazing Dr. Carante? Contra el Dr. Carante.
4 masks at least. I kind of want to save 5 masks for just the future because I don't know. Like to me 5, like because our scale is 1 to 5, right?
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So I want to save 5. I don't want to like hand that out too early. But I really, really liked it. So, yeah, 4 masks easily. And, after we watch like another 24 of these, I might come back and want to give it 5 just because, it depends on how other movies compare to it later.
Yeah, we're definitely I'm going to give this one 3 stars. Or 3 gold masks, just as because again, some of the aspects of it, the fighting was great, the wrestling was, and the not the wrestling, but the fighting, it was great, and I love the music in this one. I love Neutron's theme song. Whenever he showed up, I'm gonna try to track that down and see if I can, separate it and get that by itself to share it with everyone. And I also just the fact that it went beyond and got crazy when he whipped out one of Merlin's spell books.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Just those reveals at the end. Just
exactly. I'm Neutron. No, I'm Neutron. No, he was evil. It kind of had that very much like that movie Clue at the end. What? Who? Huh? What? Who? What?
Right.
And it was. There were definitely fun movies, and they're not kitschy in a way that the other luchador movies are. They're very, like you said, their niche or their kitsch is kind of set in the old serials, like you said, the old Batman serials, or even it had a very sci-fi feel to it too. So Flash Gordon or Buck Rogers type of thing, or any of those type of serials from the days of gone by. But yeah, it definitely Neutron movie series is definitely fun, definitely worth checking out. And we will definitely try to get the other ones because, again, like I said, they're a lot of fun, and we want to see how the first one worked out and maybe set us straight. And again, we reserve the right to change our rankings on these after seeing that one.
Right.
Anything else we got?
I don't think so.
I'm not sure what the next film will be. I'm sort of kicking around that Blue Demon, something about hellish spiders from space. And this will just feature Blue Demon without Santos, so that'll be an interesting take. One thing I've neglected to do with these podcasts so far is to remind everybody that we do have a social media presence, and you can follow, Luchador Gringo on Instagram, on Facebook, and on Twitter, and that's where we kind of, tell you what's coming up, what we're going to be reviewing, announcing when episodes are out, and kind of throw in some other stuff in there too when we can. So I think that's it. A quick, almost chaotic but neutronic review, double feature.
Yes,
I think that's it. See you next time in the ring, Michael, when we discuss our next Luchador movie.
Ding ding.